What's up guys, DP here, and welcome back to another episode of Training Grounds, episode 12, the Crate Hunting Guide. This has been by far the most requested guide out there. Out of all the comments that I get, all the DMs, all the stuff, all the feedback that I get on Twitter, this has been the most requested guide out there. As always, just like any episode of Training Ground starts, there's always the disclaimer, guys. I'm not the best player in the world. I'm not the worst. I am willing to share my years and years of experience in the Battle Royale genre with you guys. So, with that said, let's get hunting. 2, 1, release. Oh!
Wow, that was perfect.
We're going to break this guy down into 4 different categories: position, speed, knowledge, and last but not least, gut instinct, which is luck. As most of you already know, every round is different and unique in its own way. Every round tells a different story because it's going to be a different circle, a different plane trajectory every single round. Now that is where the first factor of this equation comes in: positioning. None of us can really predict the circle. So let's face it, at the start of each round, you have to make sure that you stay central on either map. Not only that, but you have to acquire a vehicle in under a minute and a half, because that's how long you have to loot, get vehicles, get some armor, maybe even a backpack, and expect the first plane. On Erangel, of course, you've got a bit more key interest points when it comes to acquiring a vehicle faster earlier on in the game. You've got a lot of garages in the center of the map. I'm talking about Rozkok in the north, and maybe just a little bit east of there in that area. You have a chance, a small chance, to get a car in the garage or on one of the roads that are just outside one of the smaller compounds. I think that's the best place to start because you can get some basic gear and a car fairly quick before the first plane or the first circle even shows up. You're bleeding, bro. You're bleeding. Thanks for the loot. The best way for me to describe this game of positioning is maybe comparing it to something like tennis. If you've ever played tennis, you'll watch after somebody hits the ball, they come right back to the center of the court. And that's how this works. We don't know where the circle is going to show up. My job is to get to the center as soon as possible, get some basic loot, but more importantly, a car. I think that in the overall picture, a vehicle is more important than the loot itself, especially since the clock is against you. Now, I want to emphasize this point right off the bat is that the first crate is going to be the most important crate for you. It's going to be the least contested crate out there. Trust me, there's going to be a lot of people on the server that are still alive, I'm sure, but most of them are looking at the ground, looting. They don't care about the first crate, and that's why I'm here to show you how to get that first easy peasy crate while everyone is out there looting. That OP weapon that you get might just be the difference between winning and losing in Final Circle. Alright, it's time for step 2. You've got yourself some basic gear and a vehicle. Now the circle's already spawned, but where do you go? What part of the circle are you going to cover, not knowing where the plane or which direction the plane is going to come from? The best places to go are the highest places of elevation, especially if you're playing on an FPP server. You're not going to be able to see past your vehicle's windshield. So I would recommend going to the highest points of elevation on certain areas where the circle is still pretty central. You're still pretty central on the circle itself, but you're higher up so that you can have a better vantage point of when the plane comes and you'll be able to see the crate fairly easy. After tracking the plane and seeing where the crate drops, it really boils down to speed, guys. You're going to have to get to the crate as quick as possible, especially on the first one. You want to be the first person out of your vehicle so that you can contest the crate if you have some competition coming your way. The people that get to the crate after you are definitely going to be at a big disadvantage.
What the?
Now, I would like to mention that step 1 and step 2 is going to be a bit different when it comes to Myanmar. You can still stay central to the first circle, but you're going to have to rely on 2 of the 4 vehicles that can get you from one side of the map to the other. The first is the bike, and the second is the off-road. Other than that, it's the same game of tennis on either map, except for Myanmar does have a little bit more treacherous landscape. The mountains can be a big gap between you and the crate sometimes. Which brings us to step 3, learning the terrain. And that's
Knowledge.
Well, not that kind of knowledge, but knowledge of the map. One of the key factors of crate hunting that you're going to have to learn is deciphering distances between you and the crate. I'm talking about measuring distance by looking at the size of the actual care package. It'll tell you a lot, trust me. Obviously, the further away it is, it's going to be smaller. You'll be able to assess distances of 1.5 kilometers, 1 kilometer, or even as close as 500 meters by just looking at the size of the crate. It might take you a little bit of time to get accurate with these distances, but it will help you in the overall progression of your skill set in the game. Once you've gotten acclimated with the distances and being able to measure distances by just looking at the crate, you'll be able to put down your marker with pinpoint accuracy of where the crate is. Now, one little trick that I would like to share with you guys, especially when it comes to hunting crates that are further down, and you obviously have to go past a mountain or a couple of hills, you don't know which side of the hill the crate's going to be, always put your marker a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left of where you think the crate actually is, and then head in a straight line away from the marker. That way you're only looking on one side of the vehicle when it comes to actually tracking the crate. Sometimes you might draw a straight line to the crate and actually miss it completely because you're looking on both sides of the vehicle. You're looking on the left and on the right. So I would say put your marker down first, put it a bit to the right of where you think the crate is. That way, if you go towards the left, you're only looking to the right side of the vehicle, you're only looking to the right side of the map, and the crate is going to be a lot easier to spot. Also, another key point that you want to take a note of is that crate attract other crates. Is always a big possibility that when you're going to a crate, or if you get to a crate, there's going to be other crates in that general vicinity. The game draws out a random trajectory for where it drops the crates, but as the circle gets smaller and smaller, you have a greater possibility of finding more and more crates in the same general area. This is also true when it comes to the beginning of the match. I've done it many times where I've hunted crates in the beginning of the round, and I found 2 crates, both fairly close to each other, at the start of the game, which doesn't make any sense, but crates do attract other crates. Now, when it comes to crate hunting in Final Circle, or even before that a little bit, in mid-circle, I guarantee you are going to run into some healthy competition. The risk to reward ratio definitely goes up a lot in that time zone because there's a lot more players that are fully geared that are now hunting crates just like you are. Like I said before, at this point in late game, it's key that you still have a car. Now, if you haven't been lucky enough to find a crate in the beginning of the round, then the car is going to be an easy in and easy out while you loot the crate. Hopefully, this guide will help you get your crates earlier on so that you can avoid all the battles in late game. And speaking of late game, this is what brings us to the final step, step 4, which is your gut instincts or a little bit of luck. Now, if you've already followed the first 3 steps, you're probably not going to need a crate in Final Circle. That's the goal of this guide, is to get you your crates early so that later on in the game, you can use them as bait. Honestly, there's many different ways you can approach the crates and hunting crates in Final Circle. Now, there's an old saying where there's smoke, there's fire. And that's absolutely true when it comes to the crates in Final Circle. A lot of times you can just sit back and wait for the fireworks to go off and then just mop up whoever is left with hardly any health sometimes and pick up the pieces of whatever's at the crate. Now, in order to do that successfully, you're going to have to rely a lot on your hearing. You're going to have to be able to see people with your ears. And a lucky grenade can make the difference sometimes between the winning and the losing, guys. This is where the luck comes in. You got to go on your gut instincts at this point. For any of you that have watched my streams, you already know that me and the crates have a symbiotic relationship where I just cannot say no. It's almost like till death do us part. I think it was Michael Douglas that said, greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Now, it's not good all the time, especially in Final Circle. Please die. What I'm trying to say is that at the end of the day, it's your decision and it's your choice. If your instincts tell you to stay away from crates in Final Circle, that's entirely up to you. I know there's a lot of people out there that make videos about crates and tell people you should avoid crates at all costs because that's a mistake that people make in the game. In my humble opinion, it's quite the opposite. I think that care packages help you stack the deck in your favor. Not only that, but they're also going to help you understand the new guns, new gunplay, and also new strategies. I'm talking about vehicle strategies and how to use the crate sometimes in Final Circle as full cover, if you're lucky enough for that crate to actually be there. Dude, where the hell are you? Well, that's going to wrap it up for the Crate Hunting Guide. Episode 12 of Training Grounds is over. I really hope that you guys found this guide fun and useful. And if you did, I hope that it earns your like. I just wanted to end by saying thank you guys. It's been an unbelievable journey to 45,000 subscribers. And thank you to all of my Patreons, my sponsors, and you, the subscribers that make all these videos possible. So thank you all again for all the love and support. As always, stay strong, and I'll see you